even going to look at break-even analysis now. And a break-even analysis is made up of two parts. The idea of a break-even analysis is to work out how much you need to sell of something before you're making a profit. And to do that, we have to analyse what kind of things are involved in those costs. So we've got what we call fixed costs and variable costs. So if you have a fixed cost, if you're running a business, we're going to use the example of selling hamburgers. And you've got to think, what might our fixed costs be? What might our variable costs be? So if you're running a hamburger shop, you've got some fixed costs. What kind of things might they be? What might you include? So equipment, yep. Well, that's not working. All right, wow. So we've got equipment. I'll throw a couple more out. Wages. Rent. Wages, we put them in the fixed cost because you're assuming that you're, in most cases, employing one person all day. The purpose of this, it's a very simple model, all right? So that's a good point though, Georgia. That might be, why do you include wages? Because it's a simple model, it's a limitation, even though it changes when people get older or you have more people working. So we're running a hamburger shop. What are our variable costs going to be? Yeah, so the product. But what about the product? Really depends on how much you sell, doesn't it? So if you sell 10 hamburgers, you might need 1 lettuce and 4 tomatoes. If you sell 1,000 hamburgers, you're going to need a lot more of everything. So your variable costs. So this is what we're just talking about. Depends on the number of units sold times by the cost per unit, and that's how you work out your variable costs. Total cost is your variable cost and your fixed cost put together. Your total revenue is the number of units sold by the selling price per unit. And you'll see what I mean with these in a minute. So a break-even point. What we're going to be doing is looking at a graph, and we might have our fixed costs and our variable costs. And what we're looking at is this point here. So that's our break-even point. If we sell anything less, it's a loss. Anything more, it's profit. So we'll work out how to make these equations and how we use them to work out our break-even analysis. So quite obviously, if a profit is made, your income is more than your costs. If you make a loss, your income is less than your costs. So that's pretty straightforward. All right, so we've got an example. We'll just leave that there. So Mac decides to introduce hamburgers to his deli's lunchtime menu. The fixed cost of hiring equipment to do so is $60 per week. Each hamburger has a variable cost of a minced patty, which costs 45 cents, bread roll 50 cents, salad 45 cents, sauce is 5 cents, wrapping 5 cents, and he sells them for $4.50. Now the question states to use the graph to determine how many must be sold to break even. So remember, we've got our 2 equations that we're going to need. Sorry, variable and fixed. We're going to need 2 equations. The first one has your variable costs and your fixed costs. So we'll work on number 1 first. So what are our variable costs? Well, we've got them in green. So it's the burgers. 0.45, I'm going to put this all in brackets, plus 0.5 plus 0.445 plus 0.05 plus 0.05. Can someone just pop that in the calculator for me? $1.5? I hope you are correct. All right. This is a variable cost. Now it varies. What does it vary on? Not the price of the hamburger, the amount sold. So that's our unknown. We don't know how many we're going to sell. So we're going to call that X, 1.5X. And then we have to add on our fixed costs. So our fixed costs include your things like rent, hiring the equipment, your insurance. And for this, it's in the red, it was $60. So we have one equation. What about our second one? We're selling for $4.50. How many were you selling? Well, we don't know, so we're going to call that X as well. So our second equation is going to be pretty straightforward. We're selling them for $4.50, depending on how many we sell, X. So we've got two equations. Now we just want to find out where they meet. So if you turn on your calculator, all right, this time we're going to be using the graph function, so number 5. And we're going to put in our two equations. So on one line, we've got y is equal to 1.5x plus 60 where's X I'm being asked? It's below the alpha button, below the red button. No, you don't want to press F5 because that changes the type of equation. So you must press the one below the alpha button. Don't press F5. For the second equation, we've got y is equal to 4.5x. So now we have our two equations. We want to draw them. So we're going to press F6 to draw. And you can see on my screen it quite clearly shows where it crosses over, but your calculator might not. So what we need to do is press zoom and go to auto, which is F5, and that will automatically zoom. You still might not be able to see where they cross over. If you can't see where they cross over, you won't be able to work out the answer. So then you just keep zooming out. So zoom out, press execute, and that will zoom out until you can see where the lines cross. You need to keep doing that. You have to be able to see where they cross. All right, once we've done that, we're going to press F5 for GSolve, graph solve, and we want to see the ISCT, intersects, so the point of intersection. So I'm going to press F5. X is equal to 20, Y is equal to 90. So this is saying that you have to sell at least 20 burgers to break even. If you sell 21 burgers, then you're making a profit. So you have, the Y means the dollars, so you have to sell $90 worth of burgers. So that is how you do a break-even analysis using the calculator.